Today, an FDA approval in lung cancer, a priority review in bladder cancer, 6 idelalisib studies halted, an expanded indication sought in CLL, promising results in a prostate cancer clinical trial, and highlights from the Miami Breast Cancer Conference. Welcome to Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus. The FDA has approved crizotinib as a treatment for patients with ROS1-positive metastatic non-small cell lung cancer. The approval is based on data from a phase 1 study in which the overall response rate was 66% with a median duration of response of 18.3 months by independent review. By investigator assessment, the ORR was 72%. The median time to first response was 7.9 weeks, and the median duration of response was 17.6 months with the assessment. The approval comes 1 month ahead of the deadline set under the Prescription Drug User Fee Act. Crizotinib was initially granted an accelerated approval for patients with ALK-positive non-small cell lung cancer in August 2011, which was followed by a full approval in November 2013. In bladder cancer, the FDA has granted a priority review to atezolizumab as a treatment for patients with locally advanced or metastatic urothelial carcinoma who progressed during or after platinum-based chemotherapy in the metastatic setting, or whose disease worsened within 12 months of receiving platinum-based chemotherapy before or after surgery. The review is based on data from the Phase 2 IMvigor 210 study, in which atezolizumab had an overall response rate of 15% in patients, regardless of PD-L1 expression. Among patients with PD-L1 expression of 5% or more, the overall response rate was 26%. Atezolizumab previously received a breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA for the treatment of patients with PD-L1 positive metastatic bladder cancer. Under the Expedited Priority Review Program, the FDA will make its approval decision by September 12, 2016. 6 clinical trials exploring idelalisib in combination with other therapies have been halted by the FDA due to reports of increased rates of adverse events, including death. The studies were investigating the agent in chronic lymphocytic leukemia, small lymphocytic lymphoma, and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. It remains unclear whether studies looking at idelalisib in solid tumors will be impacted by the FDA's hold. The FDA said in a statement, "The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is alerting healthcare professionals about reports of an increased rate of adverse events, including deaths, in clinical trials with the cancer medicine Xidellig in combination with other cancer medicines. The FDA is reviewing the findings of the clinical trials and will communicate new information as necessary." This announcement follows a similar decision made by the European Union to place idelalisib under a priority review, following reports of infections associated with the therapy. Idelalisib is currently approved in CLL in combination with rituximab and for follicular lymphoma and SLL as a monotherapy following at least 2 prior therapies. A supplemental new drug application has been submitted to the FDA to expand the approval of ofatumumab in combination with fludarabine and cyclophosphamide for the treatment of patients with relapsed CLL. The application is based on an improvement in progression-free survival in the Phase 3 Complement 2 study, in which the median progression-free survival was improved by 10.1 months with ofatumumab versus chemotherapy alone. The overall response rate with the triplet regimen was 84% versus 68% in the control arm, with complete response rates of 27% versus 7%. The FDA will review the application within 60 days and assign a decision deadline. Under standard review, the agency will make a ruling on ofatumumab within 10 months. In prostate cancer, treatment with abiraterone acetate plus prednisone demonstrated an 11.8-month improvement in overall survival in patients with less advanced, chemotherapy-naive, metastatic castration-resistant disease. According to a post-hoc analysis of the Phase 3 Cougar 302 study, the improvement in survival is equivalent to a 39% reduction in the risk of death. The full study showed a 4.4-month improvement in overall survival versus prednisone plus placebo, and in men with more aggressive disease, a 2.8-month improvement in survival was reported. Additional improvements reported with abiraterone in men with less aggressive disease include time to chemotherapy, time to opiate use, and median time on treatment. Over the weekend was PER's 33rd Annual Miami Breast Cancer Conference, where experts in the field provided valuable information and presentations. One session, presented by Dr. Gunther von Minkwitz of the German Breast Group Research Institute, discussed the need for more data to confirm early findings for carboplatin and BRCA mutant triple-negative breast cancer. Currently, there are Phase 2 and Phase 3 studies that will potentially provide the needed data to confirm carboplatin as the standard of care. Additionally, findings on the combination of alpelisib and fulvestrant in heavily pretreated postmenopausal women with ER-positive metastatic breast cancer were presented at the meeting. Data showed that in patients with PIK3CA altered tumors, the objective response rate was 27% and the stable disease rate was 53%. Based on these findings, the Phase 3 SOLAR-1 trial is enrolling patients with PIK3CA altered metastatic breast cancer. The meeting was keynoted by Good Morning America news anchor Amy Robach, who discussed the importance of beginning annual breast cancer screening at the age of 40. Robach was diagnosed with stage 2 ER-positive disease after she received her first mammogram on live television.
There's something to be said about thinking that your other breast or your breast are ticking time bombs, and it affects you mentally, and I think that has an impact on your ability to be a successful survivor. I think it absolutely can cause problems for you on multiple levels if you're worried. That fear is a powerful thing, and so for those two reasons, I decided to have the double mastectomy, the bilateral mastectomy, and when my surgeon performed that procedure, she found a second, previously undetected malignant tumor. And it was, she took out my sentinel lymph node. It too was positive. So I had a total of 13 nodes removed. So at the end, I ended up with a stage 2 invasive breast cancer with a positive node.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus.